Hey guys, Matthew, and welcome to another episode of the 1% of the Break class. Today I want to focus on a method that was used by a group of 3 players who made 8 mirrors in the first 3 days of the league. Now, put your pitchforks down. This is a method that you can do completely solo, all by yourself. The only reason why I'm mentioning 3 players is because that's the result that I've seen from them. Now, if I had results from a single player doing this, I would be able to showcase that, but I don't want to just throw random numbers out there. So a group of 3 players made 8 mirrors in 3 days. That means that one player could have made 1/3 of that in 3 days, right? By default, that means that you can make 2 to 3 mirrors in the first few days of a league, which means about a mirror per day with this farming method, which is pretty damn insane. So let's get right into it. I am talking about the Primal Blisterlord bulb harvest seed. Now, with harvest being pre-planted, that means that we don't need to plant those ourselves, and that also means that we don't need to grow these ourselves. That means that whenever we walk into a map and there's a harvest, there is a chance that this is going to be there. Now, there are numerous videos online about how to, or on YouTube, about how to maximize, as many harvests as possible. I'll have one linked in the description made by a good friend, Grimro. That's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about is how you can turn this Primal Blisterlord bulb, whenever it shows up, into ridiculous currency. Now, this craft allows you to add a random influence to a non-influenced item when harvested. That basically means that you can take any item in the game and you can throw a free influence on it, right? This is a craft that most people don't even look at for more than a second. They don't save it, they don't use it. Well, that's an issue, that's a problem. But before I get into this, let me just say one thing. If you were to listen to this video right now and do exactly what I say, and go out in the game and do this, you're probably not going to make any currency whatsoever. And the reason for that is because it's past. This is something that is good at the start of the league for about the first 4 to 5 days probably, but after that it diminishes and diminishes and diminishes, and at this point we're about a month into the league and it's no longer good at all, okay? So the reason why I'm making this video is so that you guys who are preparing for next league already, or just, who are wondering, obviously this is the 1% of the break class, how to make currency. This is a method that was used by, I say one group, but there's a lot of people who did this, a lot more than just that one group. All right, so I basically prepared a little spreadsheet with some examples of some of the items that you could do. Now, the way that the Primal Blisterlord bulb works is that there's basically 3 different outcomes. You can add a random influence to a piece of jewelry, a weapon, or a piece of armor, right? So I prepared a few examples for each of those so that you can get an idea. Remember, this is for early, so I wrote that the price of exalts might have been about 60C at the time. For the first few days of the league, I think that's a fair assumption. So if you were to take a Stygian Vise of item level 84 and you bought them at 5C each, and you just added a random influence modifier in the first few days of a league, these are the outcomes that you could get. Now, I went ahead and I did the math for you guys, and the average profit basically would have been 91 chaos for every single time that you add a random influence to a belt. Now, I added, for Stygian Vise, I did for 84 and also for 86. It seems that 84 were actually more profitable than 86. Now, some of these numbers are probably off a little bit. I would imagine that some of these might have been more, might have been less, but it gives you guys an idea. Now, I'm not saying that Stygian Vise is necessarily the best. There's obviously going to be some other options, and I'm not saying what I've listed here are the best. These are just some of the examples that I wanted to showcase. You could easily just hop on to PoE Ninja, check at the bases, look at the non-influence versus influence at different points in the league, and get an idea for yourself. Because, like I said, this is just a like a fast estimate that I did based on, of course, PoE.Ninja. So, like I said, if you were to augment a random influence on a Stygian Vise at 84, on average, you would make 90 chaos. This is pure profit. Now, realistically, you could sell these crafts, I was told, for about 20 chaos, and at the start of the league, and they were sold pretty fast. Now, if you sold it for 20 chaos, that means that you do need to remove 20 chaos from this, which means that your actual profit from not selling the craft, right, the 20 chaos craft, but instead using it yourself on an 84 Stygian would give you about 70C profit. Now I also wrote a little information of why the item levels, so 84 is for tier 1 resistances, and 86 is for tier 1 elemental damage with attack skills, which is a prefix on a belt. Okay, now I added some other ones, we'll go through it quickly. Fingerless silk gloves, 52C profit. Now this would be if you were to add random influence to an armor piece. If you were to sell those for 20C, that means that your actual profit is only about 30C. Definitely not that amazing. Titanium spirit shields, 35C. Profit, if you were to sell them, that's only 15C profit. Again, not great. Now, there is one thing that I find weird here, and when I was looking at the price of some of these, and I have to say that these prices are really messed up. I'm not sure if it's because there was a lack of actual supply at level 86 for these different influences or what was going on, but the fact that it was only 180C for a Shaper Titanium Shield, item level 86, like 2 days into the league is very confusing to me. I would have thought it would have been way more, but who knows? Again, this is just based on this league. Obviously, Ritual gave us a lot of additional items, Harvest coming back, etc., etc. But yeah, still 35C, 15 if you were to sell it, not great. Next, I did two-tone boots. Two-tone boots 86 for T1 move speed. The bases were about 20C each. You can get them for significantly cheaper than that, but I just wanted to be fair. So the profit would amount to about 50C. If you sold them for 20, that's 30C each. Not that great. Now, this is another one that is pretty good, and I'm guessing the price for Val Regalias would have been pretty similar, but I just did Astral Plates. Astral Plates, 87 Chaos, and if you sold this for 20C, that would mean that you're making about 70 Chaos profit every time you augment an Astral Plate, right? Not bad. But we can actually do better, something I'll mention in a bit here. So, just off of these examples, we can see that Stygian Vises does seem to be pretty decent. And for armors, Astral Plates, and again, Val Regalias would probably be the way to go. For weapons, there's not really any weapon of any influence that really has any value except for Elder Bows. Elder Bows are pretty nuts. Because at level 83, you get the Elder mod for 100% more bleed damage, which is crazy. But look at this. Citadel Bow, 83 for the bleed mod. Most of them are absolutely worthless. They probably wouldn't even sell. Meanwhile, the base is 5C, so you'd basically be making no profit until you hit an Elder one, which would give you an average profit of 28 Chaos. If you were to sell this craft for 20C, that means that you only made about 10 Chaos profit. So now you might be wondering, whoa, dude, how did these people make, that much currency when there's only 30 Chaos profit? And if I was to sell the craft, it's only 10 Chaos, right? We said that Exalts were 60C. So that means that you need to hit, how many? 6 bows on average? Like augment 6 bows with influence to make 1 Chaos or 1 Exalt profit. It's not great, but that's where it gets better. The thing is, if you have a base, which is a 6 socket, therefore 6 linkable base, you can dupe it. Now, I've mentioned this in plenty of other videos, imprint, and then split. Or in this case, we actually don't even need to imprint our bow. We can just split it. So the split beast is called the Phenomenal Plagued Arachnid. Let me just pull it up real quick. Phenomenal Plagued Arachnid allows us to... there it is. Phenomenal Plagued Arachnid allows us to split an item in half. That means that if we were to get a Citadel bow, and we were to 6-link it prior to doing anything with it, right? Then we would have a 6-link bow, which we would never have to actually 6-link again, and we could even quality up to 30% using the perfect fossils. We could even put 3 white sockets using the Varichi bench, right? We could prepare a bow to be a very, very nice base, which would already have more value due to the fact that it's pretty. 30 quality, 3 white sockets, 6-linked. Obviously, the 6-linking is the important part because once it's 6-linked, you never have to 6-link it again if you are duping it. So if I was to take a Citadel bow and I was to dupe it, then I would have an infinite amount of free 6-links. Now, they aren't free. They're whatever the price of the Phenomenal Plagued Arachnid is, which is typically about an X or so at the start of a league. That being said, or it's been up to 2x, I guess. That being said, with this new whole Atlas and Echoes of the Atlas coming out, the expansion, beast farmers are having access to these way faster than they used to. So in reality, it's actually a lot less than that, which makes it even better. But if I was to dupe a bow, right, and now it's a 6-link, and I've invested, let's say, 1 exalt to dupe it, I could probably just go ahead and sell the Citadel bow with my 3 white sockets and my 30 quality for more than an exalt with literally nothing else on it. Just by duping it and selling it, I'd be making a profit. But if I was to pair this duping strategy, right, with this adding a random influence strategy, I could actually be selling 6-link Shaper or Warlord or Crusader bows. But I don't think anybody really wants a 6-link Crusader bow. People want Elder, right? People were paying over 10 exalts at this point of the league, right, when these prices look like that, for a 6-link Elder 83 plus Citadel bow. 10 plus exalts. So what can we do to maximize profit even more than just add a random influence? Well, we can imprint the bow prior. An imprint is basically a save button, which is probably about 1/3 of an exalt or so at the start of a league. So if we imprint the bow, right, which is 6-link and it's got all this pretty glittery stuff on it, it's a 6-linked bow, and I imprint it. I said it's about 3 per exalt for these bad boys, which means every single time I imprint and I augment a random influence, it's costing me 1/3 of an exalt and then an additional 20C, which is another 1/3 of an exalt, right? Let's do the math on this. 40C is my investment for every attempt. It's going to take me 6 attempts on average to get my Elder Citadel bow. Times 6 would be 240C, right? Which is, we said that exalts were about 60C at that point of the league, so our investment is 4 exalts on average to hit a 6-link Elder 83 Citadel bow, which I said sold for 10 exalts. So our profit here is actually 6 exalts. Now, you could actually do the same thing and apply it to astral plates as well. But there's a difference when it comes to astral plates or even Val Regalias. And that difference is that pretty much every single one of the influence on a 6-link is going to sell because people want these bases for different things. And no matter the influence, they're going to sell. Redeemer is good for frenzy charge on hit, for % dexterity, stuff like that. Elder is good for attack crit, for % life, stuff like that. Shaper is going to actually not be all that good. Shaper's definitely one that's not so great when it comes, especially for astral plates. Val Regalias would be a little bit better. Hunter is obviously going to be one of the best ones. Additional curse, base crits. What else is there? That's pretty much it, right? Warlord for the minus mana cost, which is why you might be wondering why they're so expensive. It's for minus mana costs to socketed gems, which allow you Cyclone players to basically have no mana cost, stuff like that. Also, all res, other good stuff on Warlord, and Crusader, obviously for the explode, right? So pretty much every single influence on armors has a value, except for maybe Shaper. Redeemer can be meh, but most of them are pretty damn good. So I wouldn't actually imprint those. I would just go ahead and dupe it, slam an influence on it. Whatever you get is whatever you get. You're gonna make profit in any case, because remember, these are 6-linked, right? So if you're spending 1x for the split, but fusings are like 4 for a chaos or something, that means you're only getting 240 fusings for an exalt. At that point of the league, remember that the average to 6-link an item is 1,200 fusings or so, which means that realistically, just the fact that it's 6-link should be worth 6x, right? And now you're adding influence to it. Some of these chess pieces are going to be 4, 5, 6, and even Crusaders can be upwards of 8 to 10 exalts for 6-link, especially if it's 30 quality and 3 white sockets. And that is how a group managed to make 8 mirrors in the span of 3 days. That pretty much concludes this video, honestly. I think this is something that people sleep on way too much. This Primal Blisterlord bulb. They're just sad that they didn't get the Primal Blister Fruit, which is, the augment, remove influence and all that, which is a really cool plant by itself. Don't get me wrong, it's a really cool set of craft. But this one is actually probably the best money maker or in the early stage of a league. I would actually say that because it's very, very common. These crafts come multiple at a time. Sometimes I've done this and I've gotten 4 augment random influence at the same time. And better than that, since you're farming these, right? And again, I said I'll be linking a video about how to best farm harvest. But since you're farming these, you're actually getting all the other crafts as well, which obviously is going to add on top of that. Now, you could actually just go ahead and say, you know what? I'm not going to farm. I'm not going to do any of this myself. I'm just going to sit on Discord and buy these crafts literally all day long. You could do that too. That's another option. But then you wouldn't be getting like all the other crafts. You wouldn't be getting the maps that you can sell. You wouldn't be, you know, stockpiling the master missions. And the list goes on of, you know, what else you could be getting through just farming them yourself. But again, 8 mirrors in 3 days, pretty damn impressive, especially considering they used an underground craft that most people would throw away. On that note, that'll be it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Before I go, I want to say a huge thank you to my supporters: Johnny, Michael, Klugzy, Zarashi, Laura, Gaikona, Stefan, Croonan, Michael, JW Player, Scott, Richard, Justin, Alex, Ollie, Matt, Kevin, Marcus, Matthias, Hayden, Bitizen, Axel, and Acid. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.